Yes guys, welcome back to the George Benson football channel. Welcome to a brand new series on the channel that I've been excited to bring you ever since this channel began. I wanted it to be a footballing discussion, a footballing conversation where I make a video, you guys listen to what I have to say, and hopefully we can keep a little bit of etiquette involved and not get too aggressive within the comments down below. But of course, it's a conversation. It's something that I want there to be a bit of controversy. I want people to disagree. I want us to be fighting amongst ourselves in a friendly kind of way. Do you know what I mean? And the Premier League prediction series is certainly where that all begins to heat up. This is the first video in a little series where you guys can send in your predictions on Twitter for all of the matches, and there's going to be a little league table where I put together everyone's scores, and at some point during the video you guys will see it. And if you contribute every single week by following me on Twitter and getting involved with this little series, then you may win yourself some prizes throughout the season, be it football shirts, be it tickets potentially if I can get hold of some for you. It's all based on predictions, and it's something that can go very wrong. It's something that you could choose to study a bit of statistics, a bit of form, or you could just go crazy like some of the ones do, some of the celebrities do on the BBC Sport Predictor. This is the George Benson Football Channel prediction show. I've got an old Chelsea home kit on. I've got this season's home kit hung up on the wall. What do you guys think? This one or that one in terms of the better kit? This is like the plain blue. If you haven't yet seen my Premier League predictions video, it was either the last video on the channel or the next one. Like there's no way I'm not posting my overall predictions for the whole season before the game between Liverpool and Norwich, which is match number 1. It's Friday night kickoff. It's at Anfield. No offense to Norwich. I think they're going to play some exciting football at times this season, but Liverpool, they've not really signed anybody of note, but I think they were so good last season. I expect them to carry that on into match week number 1 on Friday night. I'm going to go Liverpool 3, Norwich 0. Comfortable victory, and Liverpool are top of the table for at least a few hours this season. How about that? And Saturday, we're going to start with the early kickoff and probably the first moment of controversy from myself in this Premier League prediction series. West Ham are at home to the champions, Manchester City. They've just signed Cancelo the day before deadline day. Yet another brilliant signing for Manchester City. It's kind of like it's better for ultimate teams than maybe it is in real life, but it's definitely an improvement on Danilo. Will he start ahead of Kyle Walker or Benjamin Mendy? That is a question that we still need to see the answer to. But West Ham versus City. It's an early kickoff. It's on BT. I'm going to go with 2-2. I think it's going to be a good game of football. I am kind of buying into the West Ham hype about their new signings, but they've kept Pellegrini in charge. I think that going forward, West Ham could be very exciting this season, and defensively, I think they're going to be pretty sound as well. I could get this completely wrong. The champions could go to the Olympic Stadium and completely run riot. It wouldn't be the craziest thing we've ever seen if they did. West Ham 2, City 2. Another one of the promoted clubs, Sheffield United, have a tricky trip to the south coast to face Bournemouth in one of the 3 o'clock kickoffs on Saturday. Bournemouth, they shipped a load of goals last season. I'm not entirely sure if Sheffield United have done as good enough business as they might have needed to in order to stay in the Premier League this season. That could be a little hint if you've not seen my Premier League predictions video for the whole season. I don't think they're going to get a win away at Bournemouth on the opening day. Of course, any newly promoted side, they want to get as many points away from home as possible. And Sheffield United will see this as an opportunity. It'll be their first game. They'll be up for it. But Eddie Howe's Bournemouth, I'm going to say 2-1. To the home side. Now then, I mentioned there could be a 0-0 on the opening weekend of the season, and we're going to give it to the game between Burnley and Southampton. This was never going to quite make it to TV on the opening weekend. No offence to either Burnley or Southampton fans. It just wasn't. There's bigger games to worry about on the Sunday in particular. Burnley 0, Southampton 0. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it. Maybe it's the highest scoring weekend game there is, but 0-0. Moving us into Crystal Palace versus Everton. On paper, Crystal Palace versus Everton doesn't look like the most exciting game of the weekend, but you've got the whole Wilfried Zaha story. At the time of me recording this, which is 11 in the morning on Thursday, it's deadline day today, will Wilfried Zaha sign for Everton? It's been something that has been in the pipeline. Everton have showed their interest. Arsenal showed their interest, but then decided to go and flip and rob Chelsea of David Luiz instead. Probably actually a better move for Arsenal, considering they needed defenders. We'll move on from that. We won't focus on it too much. If Palace keep Wilfried Zaha this season, they're safe. If they don't keep Wilfried Zaha, and this is all hypothetical with like 6 hours to go until the window ends, Palace are in big trouble. They've just signed Gary Cahill from Chelsea on a free, which is good business in my opinion. They got Roy Hodgson as their manager. I'm going to say 1-1. I think it's potentially a really good game, this one. So Watford versus Brighton is the final 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. I don't know about you guys, but I miss the days where there were 2 live matches on a Sunday and the rest were played on Saturday at 3 o'clock. Watching Gillette Soccer Saturday on a Saturday at 3 o'clock was just the best part of my weekend growing up. It's not the case anymore, and that's good if you want to watch live football, which I do, but at the same time, I kind of miss having like 7 or 8 fixtures at 3 o'clock. 4 fixtures at 3 o'clock on Saturday. Watford versus Brighton is the final one of those we're going to look at. I think Brighton are going to struggle this season. It looks like Watford are doing a bit of late business in the transfer window as well. They were very good last season under Javi Garcia, and especially at Vicarage Road. I'm going to go with a Watford home win. I'm going to say 3-1 to the Hornets. So the final 4 matches of the first weekend of the Premier League season, they are all live on TV. Spurs at their new stadium versus Aston Villa. John Terry is in the staff at Aston Villa. They're a newly promoted side. They have bought the most players of any Premier League team in this transfer window. They spent a lot of money, and it doesn't always guarantee success. You can't just spend a ton of money as a newly promoted side, come into the Premier League, and it all click just like that. We saw it with Fulham last season. I predicted Fulham to finish in the top half. They signed a load of players, good players on paper. It didn't connect. I think with Aston Villa, they're not going to have the same issue, but I don't think they're going to be able to come in and walk straight back in to the top half of the Premier League table. I think Spurs at home, new stadium again. Yes, they moved in towards the end of last season. They're on a high right now. They've been linked with a ton of players again. I don't know who they're going to sign and confirm on the final day at the time of me recording this video, but nonetheless, for match week number 1, I expect nothing but a home win for Spurs. I'm going to go with 2-0. Flying straight into Sunday's fixtures, Leicester versus Wolves. This one is an exciting fixture. I think 2 teams that play nice football, 2 teams that will be looking to build on good ends to last season. Wolves had a very good season. Their first one back in the Premier League. They were impressive. I think they were the team that everyone who supports one of the big clubs was looking at, hoping to do well because of the philosophy. And Wolves, for me, did very well last season. They might struggle with Europa League football looking likely for them in the main stage of the competition this season. Leicester are at home, but Wolves again last season against the bigger teams, they were very good. They looked very good away from home. I think there's going to be goals in this one. I'm going to go with 2-2. I can't pick a side to win this. Leicester 2, Wolves 2. Newcastle versus Arsenal, the 2 o'clock kickoff on Sunday, live on Sky Sports again. First game of the season at St James's Park. Newcastle versus Arsenal. It's the 2 o'clock kickoff live on Sunday afternoon. Newcastle, there's always a massive buzz at St James's Park, whether they feel as though the club are going through a bit of a bad spell or not. I think they're going to be in for a tough season. I'm not going to lie. But Arsenal at home, it's got potential for a little banana skin for Arsenal. It's not an easy place to go, St James's Park, going up north, particularly with a clean slate, new manager, Steve Bruce in charge, whatever Newcastle fans think of that. I think in this first game, Arsenal could be in for a tricky afternoon. However, it is Arsenal. They've got this new attacking lineup, which is looking pretty scintillating. And at the time of me recording this, it's looking likely like David Luiz is going to walk into their defence as well. And even if he does sign on deadline day, I wouldn't put it past Arsenal just sticking him in the back line for the opening day of the season. I'm going to say 3-2 Arsenal and Lacazette hat-trick. And the final match of this first week of the season. I've already given my prediction in the match preview that I did for United versus Chelsea. But again, for those of you that haven't watched that video, I'll leave a card on the screen. I'll probably put it on the end screen of this video as well. My final prediction of the opening weekend of the season, despite all of the controversy going around at Chelsea about, is Kante going to play? What striker are we going to have? What formation is Frank going to use? There's also been a lot of controversy at United this summer. There's been a lot of players that they have thought about buying that have turned them down. Maybe they couldn't work out a deal for Dybala. I said 2-1 Chelsea in my match preview. I can't try to delay giving my prediction there for as long as possible for those who hadn't seen it. 2-1 Chelsea. I'm just going to stick with my positivity. I'm not going to be one of those fans this season who predicts Chelsea to win every single week. I'm going to try and keep things as realistic as possible. But I look at that Man United midfield. I'm not fully convinced by it. Even if Pogba's playing or not, I'm not entirely sure his head's going to be fully in it. I think it's definitely the weak part of the United team and it's the strongest part of the Chelsea team. So if we can override them in the midfield, there's no reason why we have to just settle for a point at Old Trafford in week number 1. Going along with the idea that I think we will dominate the midfield, Chelsea to win 2-1. So this week, I'm not going to put too much focus on the predictions that you guys are sending in because we don't have any previous predictions where we can start to see the leaders forming amongst the table amongst yourselves on Twitter. I'm not going to focus too much on some of you guys' predictions right now, and then next week when we look back on the league table and who's done the best and who's not done so well from week number 1, we can do that before we go into next week's predictions. So that kind of element of this series will be starting in game week number 2. But thank you to everyone who sent them in. As I said, there will be prizes as we get later into the season for people that are doing well, people that are in the lead, maybe some like little Christmas gifts here and there from me on the George Benson Football channel. So stay tuned for that and make sure you're following me on Twitter, link in the description if you want to get involved with the predictions next week. Thank you guys for watching. As always, continue the conversation in the comment section down below. And yeah, at the time of recording, 11 o'clock, let's check Twitter again. It's deadline day. The Ibala to Spurs is off, according to BBC Sport. Okay, this video could take a huge detour. No one knows what's going on right now. Twitter is going mad. I'm literally looking behind me. This is absolutely crazy. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for all the love on the channel. If you're not yet subscribed to the George Benson Football channel, be sure to do so. Like the video, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.